everybody. It is Cinnamon Cooney, your Art Sherpa. Did we start with music today?
We did.
I forgot to dance. I actually can't hear the music, so that's why I come in super chill. And I forgot to ask before we started. Oh, I'm knocking my canvas over. So today, that seems like a crazy angle. So today, I'm going to be showing you how you can paint this very calm, wonderful winter lake scene. I'm going to break it down step by step. We're going to have steps in this painting. The mini book is available tonight, so whenever you're watching this, go by the website and check that. But if you're here today during the live, give us till about 6 o'clock tonight for the full write-up, because it ended up being a very involved, thoughtful project. So we're going to do it exactly like we do on the weekends, and then you guys can download that when you need that. I'm kind of ready to jump in so that we can paint this beautiful scene.
Oh, yeah.
Don't forget to thumbs up and let us know that you like it. Leave comments after the show. Let us know other things you want to paint, what's going on, your art experiences. We'd love to hear from you guys. And don't forget to subscribe so you know what next weekend's painting is going to be. Or I guess it's the following weekend's painting going to be. Or you could just check the upcoming live playlist. All right, let's hop on in.
Okay.
I'm going to take this and put this to the side. Now, if you want the traceable, the finished painting, or the measurement grid, that is all on the website right now. The links are pinned in the live comment section, and they're also down in the comments below the video. So there are two ways to get there. Plus, I have a bunch of moderators who'll be happy to show you there. This is a 16 by 20 stretch canvas. It's a very standard size, which means it's super easy to frame. I have wishes and intentions on here. I have a wish for Michelle, and this one really speaks to my own heart, for strength to stop smoking. So we don't talk about it a lot. I smoked in my youth. It is really challenging to quit. If you are in that battle, I high five you. The thing I want to remind you is, right, because sometimes you feel so bad as a smoker, to remember that this is just a habit that you're changing, and you're not in any way a bad person because you're in the middle of this transition. I think it's really important because sometimes people get so mad at you for smoking.
Yeah.
And I think it's really, really good to quit. And I want to encourage you and support you and just remind you that in recovery, whether it's cigarettes, whether it's something more serious, the road to recovery is not a straight road. And don't give up on yourself. If you have road bumps or detours, you can always get there. All right. Raheel, I have a little wish for Raheel, because Raheel wants to be like a really great artist and grow his art skills. So I'm wishing that there. More healing all around Beth. And Darlene is looking to slow progression of an illness that she's got coming in, and, you know, she'd like it just to stop. I'd like it to stop. She said slow. I'd like it to stop. Because I just want everyone to be healed. Yes. Okay. So the colors today are Cad Red, Ultramarine Blue, Burnt Sienna, Mars Black, Phthalo Blue, Cad Yellow, Dioxazine Purple, and Titanium White. Now, I'm a little low on black, so I'm going to be using this really cool product. This is the Abstract Matte Soft-Bodied Acrylic, but it's very interchangeable, so if you see me switch that out, nothing crazy is going on. I'm also going to be using a micro mister because my studio is very dry. When we run the fireplace, it really pulls all the moisture out of the air, so this will help me blend. And this is like a spray bottle, but it just makes tiny mist. They used to make them only for birds or something, but then they did. Now, most of the painting, like most all of the painting, yeah, right, is going to be in these colors. It's going to be in titanium white, ultramarine blue, actually not even that much Phthalo blue, burnt sienna, a little Diox purple, and a lot of Mars black. So most of the painting is going to be in those. You're going to be using those colors the most. And the most that you'll use out of all those colors is the white. We're going to be using a variety of acrylic brushes today. I see Pat Whitman, greetings from Holland, Michigan. I thought that was going to go different. It was Holland, and then it was like Michigan.
You know, we
Holland,
got a lot of
Michigan.
We got a lot of places like
Hi,
that.
Michigan. How you guys doing over there?
There's like, you know, they renamed all of the Americas, all of the old things in Europe. So there's New Holland, which is
I got
old
B's
Holland,
in class.
and I know, but it's just, I think it's funny.
But
Like,
sometimes you'll do that. You'll be like, you know, Holland, and then you're like, Michigan.
Or
but we
Paris,
probably have
Texas.
Yeah, Paris, Texas. That was another one. You're like, Paris. Okay, so let's put up step one.
Step one. You'd like, oh, that's like me. You want me to like have like a button where I pre-queued it up where I could just go and like make some.
Step one.
Like that.
All right. So step one, we're going to do a couple really interesting things here. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put out my titanium white paint, squeeze out an ample amount because I'm going to be using a good amount of this throughout the painting. And actually, even in the dry conditions, can end up using so much that it doesn't dry out. We're going to squeeze out a little bit of our ultramarine. All right, good color. And then we're going to put a little bit of our burnt sienna. What is your sienna? Is it raw? No, it's burnt. I cooked it. It has been reached temperature. All right. Now, this is just a big brush. There's lots of big brushes. You could use this big brush, right? So you just want something that's just a few inches wide that makes painting the background simple. You could use the Art Sherpa number 30. And I'm going to go ahead and pre-dampen the surface. This will help these words to remove, and to make this even easier for me, I'll mist it. Sometimes when I'm pre-dampening, I'll mist it. I use the micro misters because the spritz misters sometimes can over-wet the canvas. It gives me more than I'm looking for. Now, I'm going to go very delicately into the water. I'm going to show you this because I can say delicately, but unless you see how it's barely touching.
Yeah.
If I do any more when I have hog bristles, it will so over wet the paint and the brush that it will be very difficult to recover. And I'm going to go ahead and paint my entire surface white. That is not because I'm prepping the canvas or doing all of that. I am giving myself a kind of ground, a pre-wet area, so that when I put my light blue in for the background, it just is going to flow on easily. Right, so I get that. It's just a thin layer of white. I'm going to come here and load up some of the blue and a little bit of my brown. When you mix them together, they'll gray out. Right, so it's going to give you a nice blue gray. And we're going to just paint the whole background a nice blue gray.
Oh.
Yeah. Does not have to be neat or tidy. It just wants to be solid. And we do this so that the colors and things that we put on top have a nice underpainting to reflect off of. Right? So just in case they're transparent, some of the colors or things just need a little more wealth or richness to the painting, brushing back and forth, enjoying the process so much. And you can see big brushes make enjoyable work. Okay. Look at that. We have a background.
You did it.
We did it. Now we have to dry it.
You got to dry it.
We got to dry it.
You've got to dry it.
I got to dry it. You got to talk to them about drying their painting.
Does it work? It does. See, look. Look. We're so much more professional today. We got that hair dryer working. You know, when you're using your hair dryer at home, make sure that you use it on the lowest heat setting, because heat can adversely affect your paint and your paint surface, but mostly it just makes things sticky and tacky. So because acrylic is acrylic, and that responds to heat. So use just air, thoroughly dry it, so that you can see it turn from that glossy wet to a matte finish. Makes it thoroughly dry all the way across the surface, so that when you start painting things on, hold on just a second. Okay.
Were they just
It's
watching
still
our
there.
ceiling
They're
this
just
whole
watching
time?
your ceiling for a second. Just for like 30 seconds.
If you wanted to know what my ceiling looked like, there you go.
Well, there it goes.
Enjoy my ceiling, my new ceiling. It's different than my old ceiling.
So what they got?
I don't even know what to say. I'm going to use so this is dry now, and this gives
It's
us what we call
dry.
a ground. If you will put up the step 2.
Ooh, you know what? I might even be able to do that.
Now, this is the stage where if you have a traceable, you would be applying that. If you're using the grid to help you draw, you would be applying that. We're going to actually use the grid in a different way. We're not going to grid, but we're going to use it to help us know where landscape or major structures are. So if you look at the grid line, right,
Mm-hmm.
here on the right edge at the 8-inch mark, I am going to make a little line, and that lets me know where my little landscape would be coming from that far side. Kind of a cool thing.
That is kind of a cool thing.
Yeah, just a little easy thing. Now it comes over here. It's still to about 8, even over here, so this kind of level, and then it's going to come down to about 10 for, the landscape. So let's come over here. And I'm going to just wander a nice little line. Notice when I say wander, what that means is it goes up and down. This is a number 8 cat's tongue. I'm taking just ultramarine blue paint, and I'm sketching. Right here in that last couple of inches, it's going to be fairly kind of almost flat and then come up into that. You've drawn a distant horizon line. If this is your first painting, congratulations. You're fully an artist now. So I'm going to, actually, that's really true, actually. You are fully an artist as you paint. Now, a couple inches down is where our landscape wanders down from that. I'm going to come back here, kind of wander. When I say wander, what it is the land, right? The land itself kind of pulls its thing in. And then if I want to know, I'm maybe 8 inches over from the side is where my cabin is.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Where I'm going to be thinking about my major structure of my cabin. So that can help me on my land mass because I can go, I know I've got a little bit of the lake coming here. There we go. So that sort of helps me place those objects in, know where certain things are. You can be like, I'm going to have a little bit of extra land mass kind of coming here. Nice little distant rolling hills. Now, at this stage, you can put in your cabin, just so you know where it is. I'm going to make a little bit of a triangle, fairly spread out little triangle. And we're going to create a little roof line that goes back and a little parallel roof line that goes back. You're going to make another angle. These angles and these angles measure up. And some of you might be like, wait, I kind of remember this from like geometry a little bit. Yep, kind of the same thing. Little vertical lines. Little vertical lines. Now there's a little distant friend over here, right? Far kind of little, it's sort of like a fishing cabin. And I'm only sketching this in because I just need to know kind of basically where it is, right? We're just making a basic thing. So it's triangle, little line going back, little vertical lines. There we go. That's pretty good. And then we know that we have kind of over here some little landmass that comes down, but we're going to be doing so much blending on the lake that you really kind of want to make sure that you can do like full fluid little brush strokes in that. I go into your thing because you have what I did earlier, and then I can be like, oh yeah, I remember what I did. Because I think I'd go blendy blend next. All right. So you can also, if you want, give yourself a little thought about, just a little thought saying, I've got some trees. Now, my trees got all like foresty and big national forest on me, and I imagine they will again too. But this lets me know I really have to stop my trees kind of around this range because there's this little landmass that juts out. These are roundy trees. My trees are not actually roundy. Just sketch little bits here. And it's a good time to like go, hey, what's going on? Or non-blonded if you need to. I can sometimes put this here. I know I'm going to put a snowbank there, but it never hurts to paint the whole cabin and then add the snowbank over it. Doesn't hurt you. Feels like it could, but it doesn't. Completely okay. Just lets you know where things are somewhat completed. Look at that. So when you're painting any kind of landscape, and, you know, we're focusing on this from the beginner perspective, but it's still good to always go back to those fundamentals and remember this. I don't, you don't, we don't as artists draw in the same way that somebody who is doing a rendering with a pencil, right? Ours is much looser. We're just giving ourselves some ideas. We go water, landmass, trees, sky. These are the things that we want to know as artists. So sometimes when you go to draw a painting, you don't know, well, what lines do I got to put in? Often many less lines than a new artist might think. So hopefully that's a little bit informative. Step 3.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm super sure.
3?
We're in step 3. We're just whipping through.
We've got 3.
Yeah.
It's so easy.
And remember to download the written out mini book this evening. Like if you're coming a year later, it's right there for you. Go right now to the website. If you're here during the live, I'm going to try to get it up, some version of it up to you by 6 p.m. tonight. Because I care.
Because we like it.
Because we like it. They really do help. You guys are doing so well with these. They really do help.
Well, it's very exciting to see Cinnamon do these. They're very, very good training tools.
They're good training tools. Now,
you're learning, people.
We are. I'm going to add some new colors to the mix. Boop.
What colors?
I'm going to add some phthalo blue to this mix. Got a good amount of white, but I want to definitely add a little phthalo blue.
Phthalo is a very, very good blue.
It is a very good blue. And when I get to deeper colors out here on the water, I'm definitely going to want to add a little Dox purple. I'll put out a small amount now, and then we'll try to get it, bigger and more thought out later. The other thing that I'm going to want is I'm going to want big brushes to paint with.
Big brushes.
Right? And then also I'm going to want brushes to blend with. See, these are sort of blending brushes or soft.
I do not know what a blending brush versus...
These are all different mops. These are Artist Loft mops. This is a very nice silver brush mop. I've got Royal and Langen mops. This one is okay. It tends to get a little bit waterlogged. I would say their other one, weirdly, the white one, is a little bit better. No, so these are going to let us get that soft blended effect that we like so much for the water. And my thing is, like, if you don't have a lot of brushes, then you're going to do 2. When all I have is 2 brushes, sometimes I will clean out one brush and use my hair dryer to dry the other one so that I can keep doing the blending technique. But if you do this a lot, you'll find that you want a few brushes to the side so that you can change the colors, do blending. The other tip and strategy that I'm going to suggest to you is that you work in segments, and you're going to be working quickly so that the paint doesn't dry on you. But remember, these colors are transparent, so there's a lot of forgiveness here. So are you ready to do this?
We are.
We think we are. Let's start out. I'm going to get this. This is a 2-inch brush. I'm going to get it mildly wet. I can get it a little wetter than the other brush. And I'm going to load up with a nice ample amount of our white. And let's get a little bit of our bluish gray color kind of going again, right? But very light this time. Because the lake has a light reflection over here on this side. I'm going to brush back and forth, building up that lake reflection on the side. I may need to super lightly mist, and the reason for that is that, again, we had the fireplace going. My house is very dry, and so you may have to do weird little strategies to manage that.
Dry. We have so going in the background, when they saw just a peeking over the top of your little backdrop there.
Oh, yeah?
They could see the top edge of the fireplace. And so someone was commenting, super cute fireplace back there.
Oh, thank you.
That's our. It's
We
a
didn't know
palette.
company was coming over. So we're going to
Luckily.
brush this back and forth. And I will, again, missed a bit, not a lot, because I need to work this wet into wet. You'll notice where these two edges are wet. Look at what they're doing.
Yeah,
I've
they're
mixed
blending.
the ultramarine blue and a little bit of the phthalo blue, kind of getting a mid-range color coming through here, middle of the lake. It's a little bit maybe frozen, maybe not frozen. I don't think it. I think it's in a couple of states.
Wow.
So we're just going to keep going back. And remember, that's why we didn't want to worry too much about this far side. Everything is still a little bit wet. When it's all still a little bit wet, I can kind of rinse my brush out, dry it off, and do some very interesting things. I can turn my surface to the side and come down. To start to soften or diffuse what you see happening here. And then you can still come back and forth. See, it's like you can work it. You don't want to overwork it. It's definitely a dance. But you'll notice that the back and forth blending helps create those diffused water effects that can be so challenging, especially with acrylic. Everything is still pretty wet here. Good news for us, because we're going to get right into our ultramarine and our phthalo blue, dip in water if we need to improve flow. Let's come from this far side and start to put this deeper color in. You can see where preserving our rocks is almost too much. Get a little of our purple into it. I haven't even had to get a second brush into it.
Yeah.
It's been pretty effective where it is. When it starts to dry, it'll stop being effective. So sometimes you have to mist it to extend that time. You can also use agents like blending gels, different things. There's a couple layers to the lake. So remember, you do not have to be perfect in any way. That isn't required. This is the phthalo blue and the doxazine purple. Yeah. Being very dark over here. Deep dark. Now, sometimes if I'm having trouble getting a straight line, I turn the canvas to the side. This is me moving my canvas, not my canvas moving me. And then I'll start to feel where the brush is dragging and fighting back.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the point where I let it go, as you would say. Now rinse that out. I have a little boo-boo over here, little paint gun on this edge. And come back with a little white and blend it in so it doesn't mess with me during later elements of the painting. See how I came back with white?
Yeah.
So like, don't even stress if you get a boo-boo. Boo-boos happen. There we go. And again, it is the going back and forth across it that creates that diffused background. I'd like to see a lot of abstract artists will get into that in their process because it's so super effective at creating a diffused effect on a large canvas.
Wow, you can really see. I just put up
that brush I was using is like a couple of bucks. It is not a $50 or $60 brush.
Mm-hmm.
Just to keep in mind that it's great to have wonderful art supplies, and you definitely want tools that don't mess with you. You don't want to be messed with your tools, but they don't always have to be so pricey that your pocketbook is hurting.
Mm-hmm.
We like to say you get the best art materials that your budget allows, because you're probably doing this to relax, right?
Also, the best art materials are the ones you use.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
art materials in a box won't give you any experience.
Even my brushes, guys. How many people have written us and said, I bought your brushes, but I can't get them out of the box because they're really pretty and I don't want to get them dirty. Get them dirty.
Yes.
Destroy them. Use them till they fall apart.
And then you can get another one.
Yeah. Get more brushes.
That's a
when you're
wonderful
ready.
experience.
Actually, if you wash your brushes and take care of them, they'll last a pretty long time, even in acrylic painting. So, they're not really that disposable. This is looking really nice.
It is.
It is looking really
it's
nice.
looking for good. You
Yeah,
good.
I think we're ready to do some sky.
Did anyone ever tell you you're a good painter?
Well, I don't. Yeah,
You should have a
heard it
YouTube
from
show.
a couple of people. Does everybody like my
They were loving your necklace.
torrid? Oh wait, this is from the collection of Linda Cooney, and this is torrid.
So, despite our
raid my mother-in-law's jewelry box. You got good, Betsy Johnson. What you got in there? I think we're ready to get on to step 4.
Oh, are we?
Yeah, step
Then-
4. We're gonna do the sky. We're gonna do the sky, which is a lot like everything else that we just did, but it's the sky. You guys are ready for the sky?
I'm ready.
And this is so interesting because I can go through it here. So the sky is, this is a good sky to do. You want another big brush. I'll use one of these big scruffy little brushes. Again, we're going to be doing big strokes from the right downward, moving left. It's going to be lighter a bit on this side, and it's going to get darker as it comes over here. I'm going to move this up just a little bit out of my mess way because I know this is going to get messy.
Ooh,
I'm going to put out a little more of my ultramarine blue. A bit more of my white paint. So I don't know, put it here. Here's good. Because we're going to be a lot of the same colors.
There's a place to put some paint.
There's a place to put some paint. Again, hog bristles. I'm going to get, I can still do this because I would want to change my water after this painting session. Because can you see how when I get it into the white paint, there's a bit of blue to that water?
Yeah.
That'd be a problem if I was trying to get very clear colors. That'd be a huge issue, but we're not, so it's okay. So here we go. We just are going to brush from the up down.
Oh, you got a little.
Oh, on my shirt?
Oh, I don't know. I just saw a piece fly off.
It hit my shirt.
Did it?
Yeah, I'm not going to touch it because I can get it off with rubbing alcohol later. So.
Can I? You know what else will take it off?
Sherpa soap?
Sherpa soap.
Yeah, actually will. Right after the thing, I can get it right out. No, not to worry. We're just adding a little more blue. This is streaky. Notice that my brush, things are not like, my brush is not heavily loaded. The effect is very streaky. As I move over towards the far side of the sky, a lot more blue into that.
Can you show them
it's
the
going
load?
to get darker.
Can you show the load of that brush? Because I know that the mixing nature of that. See how there's brown on one edge and blue in the middle and then some white there, and it's all over the place.
Now it's going kind of stiff on my canvas, so I'm going to mist. And
that's
then we're going to come through and brush.
That's that key to get that kind of really cool mixed, what do you call it, painterly?
Painterly mixing on the canvas effect.
Yeah.
Now, that's pretty good. That looks like a kind of cool day, right?
Yeah.
It's got some nice dimensionality and value. You might want to come back, get some more blue into this because, however you want to do that. You just get that till you're happy. All right? And then I'm going to get a lot of white onto my brush, quite a lot. And just make sure that I've got kind of a little cloudy effect. I'm just sort of scooping this.
Yeah.
That's optional. You don't have to do that. You can be just happy at the sky. This is just a beautiful thing that you can do to kind of give some dimensionality to the piece. Right? And the more you build it up, the more it'll give that feeling of like, oh, that's some sort of wintry clouds.
It really is.
Right? A lot of times we get so serious about our clouds that we forget that sometimes they're just strange little playful creatures that
live in the sky.
Yeah, live in the sky and blow around and could do unknown things. I'm going to take this blending brush real quick.
Yeah.
And just blend over here because that was just a little bit dry brushy and it wasn't giving me the effect I wanted.
Okay.
That's just a damp brush. Paint's not dry. Paint falls at me.
You okay there?
Yeah, no, it totally didn't get me at all. It was just...
Painting jumped at that.
The painting loved me so much it had to give me a hug. It said, I love you and I'm going to hug you. That's what it said. Now, definitely, see this water here?
Yes.
It's got to go. Yes, you're painting all those same colors, and it may not seem like it's important, especially when you're going into something that's black. But the first thing that dulls your colors in your painting, after the paint that you choose, right? The first thing is that dirty water. Number one thing, they'll come up and just dull all your colors and just make your painting seem dark and not bright. So if you can get in a habit of changing water regularly, and I know that's frustrating, especially for those guys that are trying to collect the water and get the solids out of the water and be so ecologically responsible. But it's still a good idea to just keep a nice Home Depot bucket. Pour off, pour off, pour off, pour off, and then you can do your reclaiming.
Yay!
This is great. Guess what? We have to dry it.
Okay.
We do. We have to dry it. We have to dry it. We're not in order, thank goodness.
All right. Let's see.
Like,
wait. No,
I did that so out of order.
Okay, so we're going to hold our breath.
While I dry?
And hope that I don't have to run downstairs and reset another breaker.
Oh, man.
Well, I moved the connector, so we should be okay. But let's see. So, thank you guys for your infinite patience with us as we work out all these new technical challenges that we're unexpectedly faced with all the time. Like, that place that didn't blow the breaker yesterday blew the breaker today. Did not expect that to come. Yep. So, don't worry, I've got new electrical things all coming to the house. We're running a dedicated high power, or is it 15 amp circuit, two 15 amp circuits here to the studio so we can have dedicated power. But parts are still in the mail, so that's kind of what's going on there. But if you would like to know when we're doing more of this, you can click subscribe down below, click the bell, then click all, or look in the description down below for more information.
Description down below has so much information I can show you.
You don't even know what I was saying.
No, I don't.
I just
went along with
segued
it.
into singing.
Well,
your world is a musical.
My world is a musical. I'm gonna get that off.
Get your paint off.
Well, the more I can get off, then later I can come through and spot treat it and get it totally off.
Yeah.
I should have worn an apron. Okay, wear an apron. So now we're going to go into the silhouette of the trees and a couple things. So we're going to be using fan brushes. You can do these though, especially this style of tree, going up and down with a bright. Okay, so if you don't have a fan, you're not doomed. You can still get this distant one just fanless. You can be fanless. It'll be okay. Out there's the Simply Simmons at Michael's. These are Cambridge. I really love these. And of course, as per the always, there is Art Sherpa fans, all of which are heavy body paint friendly. Mine being the most heavy body paint friendly. But,
Yes, it is.
It is very good. But we go big first. So I'm going to size into this big one, and well, it's such a big decision. The fan, which fan you pick, makes such a big process on your outcome. I will do my number 4 Cambridge. I'm going to get my brush wet, and I think I'll put out some black paint. These distant trees are kind of like a mix of purple and black.
Yeah.
And so we want to have them really be nice and dark. And I'm going to show you the trick for getting these. So first, we're going to make a distant tree line, and you have to decide where your trees are going to be. Is it a big forest? Is there a massive hill back here? How is this representing? Right? Get that wet. Load up with a lot of purple.
You want to push that. Oh, there we go. Perfect.
What?
That's perfect.
Okay.
Thank you.
This is how it's loaded.
Let me get a zoom in on that.
Okay. And I'm going to start over here. So let's have a little conversation about our distant trees that we're stippling up and down, right? These distant trees are growing exactly how they're supposed to. You're perfectly capable of putting them in. what you will probably struggle with as you go is trying to be calm and relaxed with yourself about your tree line. But I'll tell you, the overall tree line just needs to be heading down, right? These are very out of focus. They're far away trees. And we play with the tree line because this is a lot of wonderful negative space. This is where we can create a lot of visual interest in the canvas. I sometimes think of this as like a music line coming down. You know how they like have those little music lines when the stereo's playing?
Mm-hmm.
So you can have sort of a lot of playfulness here. I'm just purple and black. And that's because we glaze a little bit with purple to create also some layering in these distant trees. It's kind of fun. Just be playful. You know, maybe they come down a good bit here. If you find that you're stippling and you're not getting a nice offload, then just come back.
Oh.
You know, pressing in if I need to. But you'll notice I'm not bending these bristles, am I?
No.
The brush handle is straight towards me. The motion is up and down.
I see.
I don't have an up handle. I don't have a down handle. I'm not trying to do scoop leaves. None of that is going on. Now, maybe like here, they'll come back up again. This is where you pay attention to it. Whatever you do with your trees here, they're going to do down here. Kind of.
Because the water has to reflect it.
The water reflects it. Now to get my line for here, I may need to, you know, kind of come closer and even over my little distant horizon line, and that's okay. That isn't going to hurt me. So by setting that in, I can really go, oh, do I like that edge line? Is that a good line? Am I happy with that? And then I'm going to come back with a nice big bright. I'll put out a little more of my purple.
Mm-hmm.
All right. There's a lot of purple in this, but a little more of my purple. And we paint in then everything solid.
Gotcha.
And I'll come in when I want to blend with my bright brush into what my fan did. I just go edge, edge, edge like this. And then where it would be solid, I can pretty easily brush it all in. If I tried to do the whole thing with my fan, I'd be working a lot harder than I needed to.
Yeah.
And I may also come down a little bit on my landscape. And the reason for that is that I can layer my landscape over, but it's nice to have some deep, dark woods. Right? Deep, dark, distant forest is a wonderful feeling because it kind of gives the sense that this cabin is in a remote, ideal location and that its inhabitants are safe and cozy and happy. And those kinds of feelings in a painting are super important.
Mm-hmm.
Come down again low. I don't have to be that precious about the cabins. I am just being careful a little bit so I don't forget where they are. Right? But I can paint that roof down a bit. It won't hurt me.
What this step is this?
We're still on the tree one, whichever the tree one was. I don't know. Can you tell me?
I can look.
Okay, yeah. You have a better idea of what the step is than I do. This is tree line step?
I think, well, the last one I displayed, I think, was step 3. So this next one should be step 4. Let me go see what we got.
Okay, whatever the last one was. We may have accidentally skipped a step.
I was wondering.
I forgot to say step, sir.
Why? I think that, so it shows you drew the shore, and then the next one you did the...
What does the community say? They probably have a better idea.
Oh, yeah, you just show the trees in, I think, and then you don't... Yeah, so you completely do the trees, but you don't do the reflection. The reflection.
No, the reflection is another step.
Yep.
The trees are a complete step, and then the reflection is another step. It's better to separate these spaces up mentally in your head, it will help. Now, purple is such a staining color. I'm going to need a fresh thing of water when I want to lighten everything up, especially when I have that black, that pigment, all of that in there. It really is a very staining color, so sometimes you want a fresh water. I'll just go grab one.
It's right there.
He'll have to refill me soon, but he can grab that at the next coffee heat up run that he does. So this is pretty great. You want to let it dry a little bit. If it's very thick and wet, it would be too soon to paint the next layer. But it's okay for it to be a little bit wet because it's nice when the paint underneath kind of picks a little bit up into the next paint. So now I'm going to get into my... I like my little fan. This is a number 2 fan. I got a number 4 fan here. And we're going to start with... Let's start with my number 2 fan.
Where are you going?
We're not, this isn't a new step.
Okay.
This is all trees, and then reflection is the next step.
Yeah, okay.
We just talked about that, remember?
Okay, yeah, we're trying to make sure you're not getting too far ahead, because I was like, I thought, are you doing some more reflection? Okay. You're just touching up those trees.
Yeah, just touch up the trees, add a little bit of purple in there.
Sorry.
It's just kind of nice.
I'm not trying to backseat paint.
Backseat paint, all you need, babe. It's not like I'm paying attention to steps. It's all good. It's all good.
That's what I'm just minding the steps.
You know, because I got to make it match the video after. So if I have to rewrite the whole step-by-step because I went wrong, there's a lot of... Actually, no, you just get the step-by-step how I wrote it. So as I'm going to come forward, I'm going to start adding some depth to my trees. So I get in my purple and a smidge of my white. These aren't much brighter, right, in their background. They just are a little bit, right? Because there's the distant trees here. Let's maybe say that there's a
distant tree,
another one. And then we can come up here and we can definitely define some far off trees. You can do downward branches. You can do the upward branches. We're just going to make layers, almost like a vector, right? When you're doing this, it's almost like a vector because you're trying to create some dense woods. You know, you can be down like this. Yeah, these kind of can go down like that. So you can have tree branches up, tree branches down. It's not really the big thing. You're just trying to say, oh, I've got some layers. And these layers have depth. They're like ogres. If you don't know how to do these types of trees, I've got so many videos about it that are 5 minutes long to give you a little bit of an extra hand up.
Now you're adding an extra little layer of trees here.
Yeah, these are sort of like deep in the forest, but you can vaguely see them. It helps you feel like this is maybe some forest in the mist and that this hill has some depth.
I mean, specifically from the reference image that was on this step.
No, these are here.
Okay. Maybe I just couldn't see them in the photo.
Well, dude, you know what? I don't know. Maybe.
But that's okay. You're adding, so... You may have added an extra little layer of purple on top of the black step here.
I am not sure.
But that's okay. Because
I'll match it up.
it'll all work out. Because either way, whether or not you stop here on the black step or you add this layer of purple, you're going to be adding several layers of them to help create this.
Yeah.
So it's okay if these got a little out of order. It's important that you get them in the right layer order.
So we're going to just keep coming here. I don't know what John's saying, but I agree with him. Whatever that is. I support his decisions that he's making here.
What I mean is whether you painted some purple in here or after you did the reflection, you're still going to have to put them in.
Oh, yeah. I did not know I went in that. You're right.
That's okay.
There we go. It's okay. We'll stop it here and then we'll reflect. And then we'll add some more trees.
That's okay, but see,
I'll change it up.
it's just a little bit, but that's what I mean is that you're going to have to put these layers in no matter what. So allowing
the order here is not that important. John's right. The order here at this stage, not important. You just have to make a decision and go kind of in an order.
I think you made that path because the water surface was still a little wet. You wanted to let it be a little more dry before you.
Maybe. I think so. But again, this is very dark. It's still a very dark layer of trees. You're okay.
So there we go.
There we go. Now let's give it another step.
Okay, we'll give it a step. We'll give it another step 4.
Step 4, let's do a reflection.
Reflections.
I feel like this should be step 5, but step 4, we'll do a
Well, if you
reflection.
want, we can do.
No. It's okay. I'll do, no. Whatever it is, we'll go in order in the steps on the video, and then I'll just make it work in the PDF after. It might be 7 p.m. Just whatever we get into. Whatever I make it, I'll work it. I will work it out. So I'm going to turn this a little bit to the side here, and that's because I find that by doing the lake this way, I can match my reflection a little bit easier, right? So I will kind of wet everything so mildly. It's so mildly wet, guys. And I'm going to load up with a little bit of my purple. I'm still on my number 2. And I'm going to do these little kind of downward, little streaky. These are my reflections. If I need to get my brush a little bit wet, I will. So see, I'm kind of getting thicker here. I want to just make sure that I'm doing that, kind of duplicating what I've got up here. Doesn't have to be perfect. It's sort of a general thing. And then as I go, maybe I get more white onto this a little bit. Little dimensionality, get a little blue, little white. This is because reflections tend to be you can always come across and do that diffusing. We've got layers here, so don't on the bank. We've got layers, so you're okay. Just keep going. Just keep swimming. Just keep swimming. Getting a little phthalo blue in there just because did. So like right here, I know I've got a slightly longer reflection. Add a little phthalo blue. It kind of deepens it. You can even come in with black. Sometimes water reflections will be darker than what's above them. I find sometimes it's nice to also come back with a slightly damp brush into this. See how it blends it?
Oh, yeah.
Diffuses it. This is a slightly damp brush. We're diffusing in on the edge here. Be fun. Be fussy. Okay. Just don't be stressed with yourself.
Now you're just using generic micro mister.
Yes. This is just from Amazon. It was like, it's got, this one's name is stylustsprayers.com. It has mustache on it. But basically what it is that the droplets are very fine. And that really does prevent you from...
Perhaps those who are mustachionados need fine misted.
I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm very hard to say what is the misting requirements in relationship to that. Now, as I come back, I may get a little darker with these streaks, and I'll come back with rinsed brush. That's a blend. See how it blends? If I rinse, wipe out, and then I can come back and blend from that direction. It's wild, right?
Mm-hmm.
My water's a little bit dirty, but I'll come back and subtract it. This is my towel, and I wipe out where I need to soften it.
So if you're limited to just having one sized brush, like if you only had one fan brush, could you do this whole thing with one brush?
Yes, you could.
You're just demonstrating.
Not in teach a class in like 2 hours, but yeah, if you're in your studio just like going at your own pace, yeah, absolutely. Because you can stop, you can rinse out. I'm going to get a little of my black on here. You can see that definitely adds some depth to it. I'm going into the like very wet areas that we had or blended. If I've got to mist, I will. If you must mist, then mist. Play with this. It's just on the edge here. Feather, 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 feather. So what you see me doing is I have a tree that goes up here. I might go along here. Loading up with the purple, you can get blue involved anytime.
Now, sometimes we get some complicated questions that are hard to answer in chat, partially because they may be bigger than the scope of what we can answer right now. For example, painting restoration, painting.
Oh yeah,
questions.
that's never a light answer. But here's what: if you're restoring a painting, and it's super important how you're restoring it, you're gonna want to talk to somebody that works in that field.
Mm-hmm.
Because each painting has different restoration. You don't restore an oil like you would restore a watercolor, like you would restore an acrylic. Mm-hmm. So you want to at least seek the advice of an expert in art conservation, mm-hmm. and read those blogs. There's some pretty good stuff on Sotheby's. And what are they restoring?
Oh, this was a question. It flew by earlier, but it had to do with painting over yellowing paint, which was, what kind of paint, when was the painting? There's just so many.
Oh yeah, that's a lot. And also, why is your paint yellowing? Because that doesn't sound like an acrylic. Your paint is yellowing. That sounds like an oil.
Could be, yeah.
So you wouldn't paint over it with acrylic. You can't paint over oil with acrylic. You can paint. You can paint oil over an acrylic, but you cannot paint an acrylic over oil.
And yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot of questions that are just more complicated than we can field here. So always feel free to join our groups on Facebook, on our mm-hmm. website. We have support options. You can always email questions in there. So there's a variety of places that you can get more in-depth question help than we might be able to answer here.
I'm adding a little white to my brush and getting into my purple. Just, I still want it to be dark purple, but I'm going to come here and sort of blend in along here. See how we're doing? Mm-hmm. There's some reflections. Reflections are super fun to do. Just blending them. You can see it's a very light. Remember, you can always come back.
Very
on the
nice.
Horizontal. And blend, blend, blend. Soften, 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 soften. Wow. This is that one that you just take a little moment with.
So you've got some.
Maybe softly come across to soften some of these lines.
Yeah.
And I'm just doing it with my fan. Do it with a different brush if you want to. Yeah, that's all we need to do. I need fresh water anyways.
Do you?
Yeah, and I may want to take this minute. I see kind of some issues here. I'm going to put some phthalo blue on my palette, just a little bit. And kind of come back and make sure that I've got rocks and everything coming. I just want to make sure that
you fix them.
Yeah, even though I've got rocks coming, I want to make sure. With phthalo blue, you can kind of glaze, and look, I can come along with my thumb and blend that in and create a pretty decent repair right there and not worry about it. I feel like it may be Fresh coffee cup time for me. I was gonna suggest that we do our little break, but I guess if you want to take my coffee with you, you can't. All right, so let's look at that the right way. Things that we're looking at here is we don't want our tree line to wander, to be bent. So if you have any bent trees, now is the time to straighten them out. Don't let them stay bent. Now is the time to straighten them out. No, I'm still straightening trees. But you could step 5 me, because then step 5 was the what? Is that the one where we go back into the trees? My steps are not in order on my iPad is what's wrong. They are out of order.
You only got one out of order or something?
No. I think they're massively out of order. Do you have on your next step, is it reflections on this reflection, or is it the trees yet?
So I think the next step will be. Let me look.
The photos that were sent to me weren't necessarily sent in order. So.
Okay, so.
Or they're not presenting in order on my device.
In step 4, what you did, it looks just like this, except you didn't have the purple in the black trees above.
Okay.
In the next step, you added some highlight to the water.
That's what I'm asking you. Is it water highlights?
It's water highlights.
Okay. There we go. Because it doesn't really matter the order. I could go up and do some trees now. I could water highlight. So we're going to water highlight.
You're going to water highlight.
I'm going to dry this, though, so I can water highlight. Let's see if the power goes out.
All right. We got all sorts of challenging things going on today. We got coffee and power and steps out of order. Look at us. We're like YouTubers. Oh, wow. Look at that guy. He just decided to go over there and look around. That was unexpected. Don't push that button. So today is the day we're getting things done. So, right, thoroughly dry your surface. Make sure, it's all ready for the next step, which is 5. Which
Here,
is
look
highlights.
at something besides me. I got to pick a brush up off the floor.
Okay, hold on. Let me look here.
Look at something besides me.
Hold on. Wait. There
you go. Oh my gosh. The floor is so far.
The floor
is so far
right,
from where I need to be. the thing of that. So we're going to be doing reflections in the water.
Reflections in the water.
We're going to do some more reflections because everything up here is going to also be reflected in the water down here. And so we've got to start building up that structure, that thought of that. So actually, for clarity for you guys, don't do this. You use every bit of your pal paper. I'm going to clear up.
All right.
So that you guys have a better view. And we're going to put out the colors. We're going to start building the reflection. And the reflection will be somewhat our sky color, some of what's going on in our water. Those things will kind of play into each other. And then also our snowbanks and all that. There's a lot to work with. I'll put out ultramarine blue. Okay. You're going to let me what? Oh, okay. I'm putting out colors. All right. So John's getting me a cup of coffee. This is a live show. So John's getting me some coffee. So I'm empowered to be able to teach you the best that I can so that you at home have the most success that you can. Are you guys liking doing the big canvases? Because I'm really liking doing the big canvases. I know it's a lot to take on, but sometimes knowing that you can do, these are compared to an 8x8, they're big. They're not. These are the smaller of big canvas sizes, but when you start working at a 16x20, it's really easy to go to like a 60x40 and need those bigger sizes, 48, 60, those fun sizes.
You show them what paint you got out there?
Yeah, so far I got titanium white, ultramarine blue, and burnt sienna. I'll go ahead and put a little of my phthalo blue out there because again, we're going to just start talking about some of these reflections, some of these little moments going out there.
Okay.
I'm going to use just a big bright. If you're wondering what this brush is, this is a number 24 Raphael Textura. Good brush. Totally works. I'm going to get a little white onto my brush and a little bit of this blue and a little bit of the burnt sienna. And we're going to come along here. Even more blue. We need more blue. Sometimes we're going to come across to soften those edges. Maybe even a little more blue. You know we've got this happening right here, right? Lots more blue. Now, if you need to, you can use a blending medium, but you can also come here. And again, we'll just use a second brush. This is a pretty decent brush. Surface is a little bit moist, and we'll come in and we'll blend. We're just blending. A little more blue. On the edge and then down. Just the start of these little reflections. We've got many to do, so these build up. I'm getting my brush rinsed out, and while it's still damp, and I'm coming across here. And if you get too much any of that in there, you can come back with I'll come back with some pure blue. You can kind of darken them however you need to. I might need to get some purple into it. So that's phthalo blue. And you can see I can come back and darken any of that as needed. There we go through.
Mm-hmm.
It's not hard. Totally doable. What's kind of fun too is sometimes if you come through with the phthalo blue, you can make a little ice reflection, brushing it down. This is just phthalo on my brush. Very thin. Look how thin that is. And the brush is damp. A little more water. Back and forth, and then down. It seems almost unintuitive until you start to do it and you get used to it, and then you're like, what, this is crazy. This works so good. Just pull that through. You've got this. You can do this. Right? And again, if you need to come back with darker color, what do? You come back with a little blue. You have to come back with purple. You can come back with purple. You're there. You're okay.
You're working it out.
You will work it out. We have a bunch of little trees and things to put here. I may have to move my trees back from the fire because I think I started a forest fire in my painting. But irresponsible forestry service aside. So you can see we're starting to build up those reflections. We're starting to, even though we don't see the snowbank yet, the snowbank is in the lake. The trees are in the lake. The cabins are in the lake, reflected even on a cold day, even when the surface is starting to freeze, even when there's a little ripple, it's still all there.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I think, what's the next one? Is that when I get to do some trees? Trees! Wait, nope. See, so I have mine way out of order.
Let me go look at this back again.
I think it's the purple in the trees.
Let's see here.
They're in order for him.
Now, I believe we just did step 5, is
that
right?
So okay. 6 is the tree,
there
right?
We go. There
6.
we go. 6.
Oh, and I timestamped these. So when you get the mini book, when you come back, if you know what step you were on, you can click it and it'll take you right to that step and you don't have to scroll through, try to find where you were.
Yeah.
That also helps. And it lets you also kind of know what's involved in a painting. If you break these things down into steps and really just put your time into that step and don't try to rush yourself through and don't push yourself through and get frustrated and quit and just go on, you just be in your step and take your time through it. You will, as you build through each step, end up with a painting. So that's kind of the process of how that works.
So in this step, you're just now putting some highlights on those trees in the
I
background.
got to highlight my trees. Let's put out some purple. Put out some purple. Right.
After this, you'll be back on track.
I'll be back on track. Back
Yeah.
on track. Sip my coffee.
Sip your hot
Do
coffee.
we have any questions so I can sip my coffee
Oh my
before
gosh,
we
I'm
move
sure
on to
you
this
always
next?
have questions.
Sorry. We're
Go
moving
ahead.
into the step 6. We're going to put in some trees. You guys are going to love it. It's pretty easy to do.
Let's see here. There's lots. Oh, happy birthdays.
Happy birthday. Whose birthday?
Let's see. Oslam,
Happy birthday.
happy birthday. Unless I pronounced. Yep, I think that's right. Happy birthday. And there may be some other birthdays in here too. So happy birthday to all of you guys.
If you guys are in Emoji Club and you're here today or any other day, you got a new emoji. You got a bluebird emoji.
Oh, I saw someone joined at the very beginning. We had a new
Yeah.
emoji.
So
club
thank
member.
you for joining Emoji Club. The more of you join, the more YouTube lets me have emojis. I was over checking out Melody Lane. She got a lot of emojis. I have some emoji envy. Also, they're good designs. I may rethink all of our emoji designs.
So Jen was
Super
asking.
inspired by her. But of course, she's a Cricut person. So like she's very like crisp and detailed in that way. And I'm very arty. So like I have to think about it. But she did inspire me emoji wise. Her Cricut emojis were like on point. They were super nice.
Jan would like to know what is blending medium. She has gel medium and glazing medium, but not blending medium.
Do you have the glazing medium by Golden? Because if you have glazing liquid by Golden, you have a blending medium. So
what is that
anything
difference?
that's a retarder, and that's the technical art term, anything that's a retarder that slows the drying time of paint is a type of blending medium. Now, true pure retarders, you have to be very careful of how much retarder you put into your paint because it can completely stop the drying time. Like it won't ever dry. But everything from the folk art one to that slows down drying, all the way up to Golden's glazing liquid, those just slow it, but they don't completely stop it, and you can use them for glazing, and that's why Golden called it glazing liquid. Golden Artist Glazing Liquid, which is it's a blending medium that lets you also glaze. You don't have to buy like 2 products. But we have a lot of info on that, and you can buy this stuff. You can buy a version of it in the craft paint vertical for like $2, all the way up to the one I love, which is the Golden Artist Color Glazing Liquid, which I think is like $12. So there's a range, and it's in budget. It's a nice thing to have. But remember, water also works. So, these things are kind of useful and good. He's left me, so I don't know where he's going. Probably getting coffee. I'm gonna talk to you. I don't see chat. So, on this week, it's been really interesting. It's been an interesting week. I am planning for 2021, and planning for 2021 means like writing out my production, like what I've got to do per video. And we just recently had like the awareness that I'm doing too much per every video.
You're doing a little bit.
I do a little bit. And so we're like trying to rethink. That's sort of been my week while I'm doing this, which is why we're a little bit behind on the step by step, because getting ready for 2021 in the theory that we're always going to be on time and we are always going to always never bump, and it's going to be a perfect year the whole year. 2021, a perfect year the whole year. The theme of which is self-care. Because we gotta take care of ourselves, right?
Yeah.
It's going to be the year of getting back to who we are and healing and recovering and restoring, connecting. It's going to be wonderful. That is what I will for it.
So
You're back, so I'm going to continue on. Trees.
I'm here.
Trees. Let's get our little fan brush. It's a nice little fan brush. And let's play and create some layers of trees. So I'm going to get my purple now. And a little more white. That's a lot more white, isn't it? It's a nice white. Kind of implies snow a bit. And I'm just going to add some snow to some little distant tree branches. I'm just tapping up and down I don't have my handle up. So it's like, we're the waked up painters. We're like the sippy sippy because it's hot.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Okay. We may be okay.
We may be okay. So I will
Maybe
proceed
okay.
forward. Let us know.
All right.
So again, little white and my purple.
There we go. Yeah, it looks like everything may be working better.
Okay. Any prepping for a tournament or something? Taking on our internet?
Do you know?
You can see it's not too intense for you guys. And the trees are far enough away where we're just sort of capturing their shapes, or what that is. Even though it's in a distant kind of space, you do want to be present and mindful of it. I like to get a little bit out there. Some little plant life is going. Now, when I come through here, I'm going to rinse out. And this is sort of fun. I like the combo of this. This made it feel like a fairy tale forest to me. I'm going to get my ultramarine blue on there and a little of my white. It's okay if these mix a bit. And let's add a kiss of blue to some of these. Maybe like on the right side a bit. Little kiss of blue, like distant snow. It's a subtle thing, but it's so pretty. I think it makes it, these look like fairy tale trees. And then the thing I realize is when I put these in, I've got to go more to the turquoise to help them show. But luckily, I do these beforehand. I can kind of capture some of those moments and go, okay, that maybe needs to be a bit changed. So getting that fairy tale element to those trees in. It also speaks a little bit to some snow that could be here and there in the far forest. Somewhere in the deep forest. Could say like just over there is Narnia. Yes, I've been rewatching it, so I have it on the brain lately. Just, kiss, 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 kiss. So now we have a nice little distant forest with a little kiss of color and stuff. And then I like to think that there's other bushes and things that come through here. So let's get a little bit of our purple and our white sort of loosely mixed. You can see that on the brush. I don't want to take out the deep, deep, deep area, but I like to start to kind of imply that, oh, there could be some other types of vegetation. We changed a little thoughtfulness about how the vegetation could be here as well. So there's like almost like that back, you know how the woods ends and then there's some other kind of low growth trees often? This kind of implies that. And then also when we're trying to even loosely or painterly represent different types of landscape, changing the texture, changing the direction really helps us do that. Let's put just a bit more of the white into our brush. And thoughtfully think about the tops. Again, not a uniform. I'm not making uniform all over marks. I'm making specific marks. Those marks create shapes and express form. I try to get to the tops of what, is out here. And come back with a little blue. Isn't that neat?
Yeah.
Again, what pulls it into that fairy tale forest kind of feel. Enjoy it. Play with it. Come here and just tap that in. You've got this. You can do this. Simple clouds, simple bushes. You're doing good. Now, maybe we want to also kind of talk about just a little bit of maybe pops of snow. On those banks, on those trees. That's still a thoughtful procedure.
Mm-hmm.
These are closer, so that's why we can see that snow a little more. A little more blue into it to kind of tip it back. So slightly closer, can see the snow. If you've lost too much of the value difference between the background and the foreground, I like to kind of come back. Because this should feel separate from that. Sometimes I have to come back and put some shadows back in. Shadows are as important as highlights. Let's see how that pulls those two things a little bit more apart.
Mm-hmm.
If you find in a painting that you're like, man, I feel like these two areas are impacting each other too much, you can come back. You're not going to be hurt by getting back into that negative space. Ah, love it. It's perfect. I like it even better than the first one. Okay. There you go. Distant snowy forest. Boom.
That was pretty good.
It's pretty good. It's pretty super good. Which is next?
Which is next?
Definitely not that. I think. Can you tell me which one is next? Is it put in the cabin?
Are we on step 6 or step 7?
I can't keep track of that. You got to keep track of that.
I can't keep track.
You guys got to keep track of that.
I'm pretty sure it's 7. Though.
Next one of these we do will be super locked in and professional. Love us this one. Next one will be better.
Between the YouTubery breaking things and this, man, I am not doing good today. I'm sorry.
Me either. Like, we're in this together. I don't even know what step I'm on.
I could guess for step 7.
Is it the cabins in the distance now?
I'll look for here. So, oh yeah, the next one is I have some images, but it doesn't tell me what it is. Let me look.
At least I took photographs of the progressions. That's always very good and wrote them up. I do think it has to be. I think I'm going to go through everything I have.
I just don't know the number.
Okay. I feel like it has to be cabin.
Yeah,
distant cabin.
We're definitely on distant cabin.
Distant cabin. Awesome. Super fun. Super easy. Let's do distant cabin.
All right.
All you have to know is the step. What are the mods tell you? The mods know. Mods, what is the step we're on? Please tell John what step we're on so he knows. Because I don't know.
I don't know.
He doesn't know, but you guys know. Are they telling you the step?
No, because there's a 30-second delay.
I feel like we've been talking for 30 seconds about being lost. You'd think people would be like 7 or 6 or yelling numbers at us.
Tina says that you have really good trees.
Thank you, Tina.
And Amy says thank you for all of what you're doing.
Love to do it. I am really grateful to do it. It is my pleasure.
And our mods are doing a really good job of making sure
they're amazing mods.
Yeah.
Do they know the steps?
They're 7.
Okay, good job, mods.
Well, so no, it was about by the time we got to the mods, the community knew. So they were
wonderful. Listen, we're a team.
We got
I'm on. I'm helping you paint, but you help me know what step I'm on. We're all good.
All right, we're okay.
Cabin. So cabin. You would think, looking at this painting, that this had a lot of colors, but it doesn't. It is not a super color saturated painting. It's just not. So we're putting out Cad Red Medium. We're putting out Mars Black. If you ever saw my video on how to mix brown, you're like, I know what she's doing.
Mm-hmm.
If you didn't, you should, because then you would know what I'm doing. I'll put a little yellow out here too, because it can be kind of nice. I am going to, I have to tell you guys, I may reposition these guys a little bit, or the fire a little bit, so that they're less on each other. Because I feel like that's a forest fire.
Back them out a little bit.
I might, yeah. I'm going to, I'll take my nice big bright wherever I stuck that down. Oh my gosh. When people watch at home and they're like, it's 7.
That tells you how long of a delay there is.
Oh my gosh. All right. Oh. So I'm going to add a little black to my snow, my white, and I'm going to add a little blue into that. You can kind of see this is loosely mixed. And we're going to come back here. Remember, we talked about how we would kind of paint into our forest a bit. This is why we knew we would be doing that. Little blue. We just mix little things in every once in a while. Bring a little bit of a embankment out this way. Now, back here where I'm coming through, I like to kind of curve it down on the stroke to sort of imply that it's rolled and coming to the edge. Okay. So when I have that going, I can come back with a little bit of a lighter value and even a little more blue, but it's lighter. I know. Make some different little value changes here on the background. Where you want it to seem like the top of a mound of snow, that's where your lighter value is. My bank is getting too high there.
Yeah.
So I'm going to come back and move it down. See what I'm doing? It's like too much snow, guys. It's too much snow. Probably doing too big of a brush is what it is.
Said everyone who ever had to shovel snow.
Well, that is true. I think what it is, I've just got to switch to a smaller brush. I'm like, I will do it with the biggest brush possible, but this is a mistake at this point. So I'm going to switch to a nice small bright that gives me lots and lots and lots of control. This is a number 6 Texturis. It's just a smaller cousin to that big brush. I'm going to just also start to add some snow to this distant little peninsula that's coming out there. All right. I'm going to dry this just so that what's underneath it is not going to be getting into my next layer, and I'm going to loosely sketch in my cabins.
Okay. Wow, we're getting some stuff done here, man. Today has been a complicated YouTube day, so thank you guys for bearing with us and hanging out, staying through. Don't forget when you're drying your surface to subscribe while you're doing that. So click that subscribe button, click the bell, and you can click all to get notifications when we go live. Wasn't that a totally smooth transition?
What?
I
What smooth transition?
When I was like, you know what you need to do before you dry your surface?
Huh.
Click the subscribe button.
Oh, please do.
Yeah.
Please do. I'm already, they're not all up, but all of January's are already planned and they're all amazing. You want to be subscribed so you can see all the free classes. And then you want to go by Facebook and follow my Facebook page so you can show up for the watercolor classes, which are amazing too. So if you like the way I teach, that would be a good thing. If you don't like the way they teach, it would probably not be a good thing. You'd be like, no, never again. And that's okay. I support you. All right, so I'm going to come in and I'm going to grab a little bit of my blue and my gray. I'm going to come back in and sort of define this little crazy roof line. You do. Just for right now, this is like a place card. See already, that's a nice little roof, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Doing little roofy things. I'm going to get a little bit of my black. I'm going to come right here and just go, there is a chimney. Right here, a little square. Very visible, but it is there. Chimney.
And you really could do this on any size surface you wanted.
Oh yeah, this one would be really easy to resize. Because you can add here and here really easily, and you can add here and here really easily. There's a lot, you can add at the sky, you can add at the water. So there's places to add. Now I'm going to add a little more white to this because the background it's against is so dark. And I really want to be able to see the top of the roof line. Just to know where that was. Is this far away. Then I'm going to get my, no, not my brown, my Cad Red, ignore the Sienna, Cad Red and Mars Black. I'm going to mix them together. Front of this part of the cabin will be lighter than this side. And that's really a lot because of the door and the fire. And then this one is lighter because it's more exposed to the sky. The light source. When you want to make this more shadowy, you add more black. When you want it to be brighter, you add more red. Right now, you're just shading boxes. You can do that. You can shade boxes. You can handle it. Good. I'll come here with a little bit of this, and I like to take the front of my chimney and add a little brick highlight there. Early days, but it's still nice. And remember, we're adding snow here, so this part of the building, you're building out, and then you're going to put a bunch of snow over the front of it, so you're okay.
And we've had such a wonderful crowd of people here today. Really appreciate everybody hanging out with us today and bearing with the,
technical challenges of YouTube.
Well, among our own tomfoolery.
Well, we have our own tomfoolery, that's for sure. But these step-by-steps are worth it because, on Tuesday's class, we're just going to do small kind of detailed paintings. But on the Saturday class, right, when you guys have this, you can
Mhm.
take on bigger challenges, you know, and be pretty confident that it's going to be okay. I'm back here. Dip in water a little bit more. Ultramarine blue and titanium white. Right, we're just kind of painted into my chimney a bit, so I'll just come back with
Mhm.
some black. Pretty easy to fix when I need to. Shadow on my chimney. There we go. It's starting to think about being shaded.
It is.
Beginning to
Thinking
be like
shady
shady.
thoughts.
Yeah, having some shady thoughts. Just pulling those in, right? Now I want to take a little bit of my blue and my white. Make sure that we have some nice distance. Maybe more blue. Where I'm putting this, you can kind of see that it creates almost a little shading to the snow. Come back up and add this like blue cool tone. Add a little bit here. A little more white on here. But I don't want it to be pure white because the far snow still needs to be not as bright. But we're adding just slightly light values to create land mass and what we're thinking about over here. A little bit of I may come back with a little bit of black. Kind of tweak this up. Make sure that that looks right. Sometimes it just helps me keep my shoreline straight.
Mhm. Taking a look back.
Yeah, like if I put the little shadows back and be like, where's that shoreline going to be?
Mm.
Sometimes that shadowing helps me keep my shoreline straight. And get into my red and black again. And then pull into the black. even more into the black. This is in shadow. There's several layers on the cabin, so you don't have to be perfect at this stage. You just want to have kind of a sense of where you're going.
Mm-hmm. Irene thinks this looks very beautiful.
Oh, thank you, Irene. I so appreciate your guys' support. It is amazing. I'm gonna stand back, sip my coffee, and kind of look at this. I think we have completed
Step 7.
Yes, I
And
think
you're ready for
7 is
step
done.
8?
Yeah, step 8 is super fun. Don't go anywhere. Step 8 is super fun.
Should I, or do you have to dry, or do I put a step 8 so people
You
know?
can put step 8. I don't gotta dry.
Oh, so that way you can find it
Mm-hmm.
where we're at in step
8. Is gonna be great.
All right, let's
8
do the
will be great.
step 8.
So we're gonna start adding some of our forward-facing snow. I'll get into a less crazy sized bright.
Forward-facing snow.
Let's get into, say, a number 8 bright. You don't need to use the same number of brushes I'm doing. Again, I have concerns that I do because I'm teaching a class online, and that needs to kind of come in at a certain amount of time. Yours doesn't. Your painting absolutely does not need to do that. So,
You know what forward-facing snow reminds me of? That new popular dance move breaking out of Quebec. Forward-facing snow.
Such a goof. So this is just ultramarine and titanium white. It's a little brighter than the background snow. And sometimes I'll have to go back. Like if I see that this value and this value is too close, I will darken that value back there. So this is that time to go, okay, was my back facing snow bright enough, or
You got to get out to Saskatchewan to see some of those backward-facing snow moves.
now I've sort of tucked a cabin in the snow. Playing with it. If I need to get back and darken some snow, if you need to darken the snow, then darken.
Shady snow.
Shady snow. I come on like that. And I can rinse out and then blend in.
Snow After Dark, the new Andy Cohen series.
Oh my gosh, I love that you made an Andy Cohen joke. That just makes my life. That really does make my life. My husband just made an Andy Cohen joke. So I just want to put some snow up front and get some stuff going there. Up at the front part of this bank here, let's go ahead and get a little more of our ultramarine blue. And honestly, like this little snowbank over here, I definitely want to be more in the blue because be a little more shaded. So I'm going to add a little more blue to it. Maybe back here, I'll get a little more white. They were building it up.
Mm-hmm.
Build it up, man. Build it up. Before I built the forest fire. Oh, the forest fire. I get into a smaller brush and come in and start to refine some of these objects, some of these spaces. That's what this is really all going to be about, is refining this. I need fresh water.
Oh, okay. We can look that up.
So again, this is the dirt that I'm talking about. When I'm here, man, I know I need fresh water because, especially right now, because I'm going to be going orange and yellow and red. Purple and blue live in the contrasting space on a color wheel. In other words, on the opposite end. Whenever colors live on opposite ends of a color wheel, When mixed together, they neutralize or they create a brown or gray. Fantastic when you want it to happen, a complete bummer when you don't. So one of the secret ways that sneaks up on artists, and I'll say it again and again and again, it's in your water. The murky in your water becomes murky on your canvas. You don't want murky on your canvas. Changing that water out, making sure those stay bright. And this becomes more and more important the higher quality paint that you use, because there's so much pigment in the paint that when you rinse it out in the water, a lot of pigment goes into that water. And so there's just a deep staining factor to that. And it's really, really impactful. I can't wait to light up the snow. This is fantastic. I'm so excited. Yeah, we're still here. Yeah, I don't see another one here. I think it goes, nope, there's just finish this up. So.
Finish it up.
Huh?
Finishing it up.
Yeah, I don't see any reflection. Then,
right.
Yep, that's where I am. So, as I check everything, one of the first things that I can start to do is I can think about my front door, which is open. Why would you leave a front door open in the snow on a cabin like this? I don't know, but they did. Maybe because they were going somewhere. Let's put a little front door in. That's a mix of cad red and cad yellow. Still pretty orange. It's not that bright. It's just the start. Nice big little window there, right? I also like to have a couple side windows. Just the beginnings.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that a little door here is warranted. And then I like to put 3 little windows down here. I don't know, indie fishing boating shed? I don't know, but I put 3 little windows down there. That's what I do.
I like it.
I'm going to get a little more red on my brush. And add a little bit of a highlight to my chimney.
Mm-hmm.
And come under my roof. The dark shadow. Orange or red. Blending that in. We're working that around. Now, sometimes I've got to get into this yellow a little bit, and that is because, like around the door,
Mm-hmm.
there might be a little highlight, huh?
There might.
There might. It would happen. Kind of fuss about my windows over here. Rinsing out, gonna get some black. Come here and kind of create a little definition around these windows.
Yeah.
A little structure, a little thought around the windows. Even down here, this could have a little structure under the roof. I need to get a little more water on there to improve flow. So what happens sometimes is you're painting and your paint gets dry and everything on your brush gets dry. So you've got to kind of get things going again. Now, once I have that going, I get my ultramarine into my white here. I need more shadow under that roof on that far side. Might clean this up a bit. Actually add those windows back. Put a little more black into that. Deepen this back here. Am I in the way?
No, you're fine.
Okay. Back into a little of the red and yellow. There we go. Sometimes that's nice. Sometimes you got to get in there a little bit. Little red, little yellow, making glows, sir. Making glows. Make some
Yeah.
glows. Come around here. I like when there's a path
Yeah.
to places on my painting where somebody could walk out the front door and go anywhere. I'm going to use some light color, kind of start to define that path.
Mm-hmm.
Bring a little snow down. You do want the chimney to catch a little shadow. Shadow's a good idea on the chimney, right?
Mm-hmm.
We'll make sure the chimney has a shadow. I'm in the snow. Get a little more snow right here. Put a little more snow down the side of the roof. A little slightly darker snow here. Maybe a little dark blue path down to the roof. A little shadow there. Even though we're about to light it, we still kind of want that shadow. A little blue shadow coming down. A little pass here. A little black, just to define a little path down that way. Not a lot, just something.
Have to get that fire in there.
Yeah, well, there'll be a fire, but at this stage, we started to light it from just the windows.
Put that yellow context, that yellow snow in context.
Yeah, yellow snow always needs a little context. Always needs a little context. A little more white in there, just keep. Again, just putting those little white highlights out there. Finding banks, finding highlights, telling your story. Come in with like maybe a little blue, go over the black a bit. So our path is a little cooler. All right. I think that is that one.
Mm-hmm.
I think so. Oh, let me get a purple thing. My roof got a little messy. When it does, just come back with purple and clean it up. Because I don't gotta worry about it. All right. I'm going to stand back. You tell me what you think.
I think it looks pretty good.
I think it's 8. Am I counting correctly yet?
I think that's correct. We're on 8.
On 8. 8 would be great.
Would it?
8 is great. Trees and smokes and stuff. And more lights in the thing. So more resolution around here. A little more thoughtfulness on cabin. And I've got to put in the trees. And I'm going to say right now, initially, if you look right here, I love this. A couple of things. I first started out to put these trees in the background color, but I didn't like it. I wanted them to feel warmer and closer. And so as I went through in the painting, I changed it into turquoise. We're going to actually start more in that direction. And the other thing is I put the fire on the trees. I feel like the trees would be on fire in a minute. Mm-hmm. And also it's a bonfire. John was like, he explained it. He's like, oh, well, that's okay because a tree fell and they couldn't move it. And so they're burning it. So that's how on team John was. So that's what we're going to be working towards here is like creating more of that, maybe a little thoughtful kind of smoke going up. So on the smoke, I'm going to take my chalk tool and I want to show you something. I'll have to give myself a little thing. So when you're doing this, this is all S curves, right? So you're going to want these strokes to kind of come up, weaving and wandering up from the chimney. I'm going to use a number 4 round. That is not a number 4 round. I'm going to use a number 4 round. And just a nice mix of, at first, my white and my ultramarine blue. Float isn't particularly complicated. Come up but it's not wet either. It's pretty dry. And even if I do get water, I get a small amount. Just weave it there, and then if I want to get a little of my phthalo blue into it, I can. Just to give it a pop. It can be a good idea to get a little highlight to the top of the chimney and on the side, just so it shows, guys. You just want it to show. That'll help it a bit. Add that little shadow there. Just tweak it up a bit. Tweak it, improve it. These 2 trees. All right, I'm going to actually go ahead and lay them out a bit. Maybe differently. Let me dry this. Okay. So I can lean on it, sketch it, and change my mind.
You just gotta make sure you get that thoroughly dry. That way, when you're doing your next layers, you can lean on it, as she says. That way, you can pick up any of the underpainting. Oh well. There she goes.
There I am. All right. So we know we've got the back tree here. We want the fire here. So I'm going to start by putting in my fire. I'll take my ultramarine blue, and we know that the fire is going to be right here. I want my trees. I may even get a little more purple into that for the little spot under the fire. Where the burning is, it should be fairly dark. That being said, and I'll use my Doc's purple. I do want a tree that's kind of behind the hill here. And then I want a tree that's in front of it. So I'll do the tree that's behind first. Take a mix of my ultramarine, my phthalo blue and my Doc's purple. And come up here, and this will be a taller tree. I'm going to add just a smidge of white so you can see it go down. This is done with a number 4 round. This is a lot like the tree at the other red barn in its construction. And this tree is back a bit further this time. No, it's not, man. I always put the tree there. Why I keep trying to set fire to the forest? Oh, why is that happening?
Gotta move the trees back.
I think I moved them too close again. Maybe I have to move the fire forward. Something else needs to happen. And again, I'm just adding the white so you can see it. You go as dark as you can go and still know where you're going. This tree is behind the hill a bit. I'm going to move the fire forward some. See, I just moved that so easy. That tree's there now. Once that tree is on, I want to add a little snow to it. So I'm going to take my phthalo blue and a little bit of white. The back side of the tree will be darker than the side that's really exposed to the fire. I'm just putting defined little branches coming down, leaving the shadows. See how we leave the shadows?
Mm-hmm.
We want to make sure that we have branches in the center that are defined. So these are heavy with snow. Center branches. Don't forget they live in the center too.
Mm-hmm.
And if that is the rough gist of that, and I maybe come up with just a little bit more white to really help us find that top. So there we go. I'm gonna stand back and look at that.
Yeah.
You evaluate yours. That's looking pretty good. Now, front part of the tree, let's just rinse out. And again, we're just making it easier this time. I initially did it in these colors, said that wasn't how I wanted it, and I'm changing in here because it'll be better for you. Sometimes that'll happen. A lot of times when I'm real serious about a design, in my own personal life, I will do it 2 or 3 times. I'm adding little highlights of snow. This is the phthalo blue and white. On a number 4 round.
Mm-hmm.
The trick to this, don't paint out all your dark value. Capture the tops of the branches. Don't paint out the dark part of the branches. Go slow enough to feel like you can see what you're trying to do. See how we built it up?
Mm-hmm.
We're not taking out our shadows. We're not taking out our, slightly darker value. And to give this tree shape, I'll leave this like this here. Move the fire. I've adjusted the tree. I'm going to dry this real quick so I can put his friend up just a little bit layered over here, but toward the front of the hill. Because they're like two sentinels that are watching the fire,
Right.
but not adding to the fire hazard. This is the thinking.
All right. So just, make sure you get a quick dry so that when you put the next layer on there, especially as they're lighter and lighter, they don't pick up the under painting stuff. So, yeah. That's all she's doing is making sure she gets a good thorough dry on there. Oh, I thought she was done. She is done. There you go.
How we go? What? I could
You're
use a
all
microwave
ready
on
to
my
go.
coffee. All right. So I'm going to be adding a second tree right about here. I just want a better design around how this is going to be. So when I put the fire there, it doesn't read to your friends and family like you just are burning down the forest. And
Same step?
still all the way through the fire is this step.
All right.
I believe. I don't remember another step. Anyways, it is now the same step. 2 trees and a fire. Eat my coffee. Woo! So the big jam on this is going to be when we put in these reflections here and we kind of finish the water. It's nice to have the stones up front and to have the stones in there to create some visual interest. But the whole painting really is going to be about these beautiful painterly light reflections that are happening that kind of back up these tree reflections that we've got going on. Really make it feel like we've come into a space that's got a warm hearth and home. I think it's so important in my paintings. Of course, you do what's right for you and yours, but for me in my paintings, it's so important to me that when I do put a structure, I light a fire in that place. Because for me, when I come to a cabin or a new location, it's always so wonderful when the place is lit and it's warm and it's welcoming and the smells from the kitchen are coming and you hear the fire cracking and there's just that maybe music or laughter or just something that just says this is a welcoming space. So since that is so pivotal in my personal life, I really like to put those things into my can't see out of my bangs in my paintings because I find them super helpful. Gosh, I need more coffee. Can you tell? I don't have enough coffee. Not enough at all. By the way, this level of caffeine, you can thank Ginger Cook, my mom, Ginger Cook Live. She's on Monday nights. She has her own YouTube channel, but she sent me coffee, a better coffee machine. So now I'm just better caffeinated. Coffee. What you looking at?
Me?
Mm-hmm.
You.
All right. I'm going to put a little more phthalo blue out. We're going to do this all again with another little friend tree. Where do I think I can put my friend tree? This will be the purple and phthalo blue together. Let's put friend tree over a bit.
All right.
Friend tree should be shorter than first tree. Friend tree is shorter than first tree. I'm doing the same kind of little pull technique for the branches. This tree will layer over this tree. So that's the other thing. Like you want to expect that they will kind of interact with each other a little. Oh yeah, I think this is better placement.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's gonna read much better. In my original reference, it was just a very not pretty street light, and I was like, I don't like that at all. It wasn't even like a Narnia lamp, so I was like, you know what? In my cabin, it's fire. It's fire. He looks pretty good, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Like he's doing a thing. Now, I always think it's nice to make sure that whenever we have a tree, we put a little shadow in the snow. Let's put out a little bit of our ultramarine. Make sure that we've got a little shading under said tree. I think initially it was like purple, but we'll do it with the ultramarine here.
All right.
Let's come under here and make sure that under him, there's a bit of a shadow coming back. Because the fire would definitely affect that. That just will help it feel better. Might even come back with a little purple and just making sure that there's a bit of a realistic bit of lighting there.
Yeah.
Because that'll help this other bit of lighting feel better. I'm going to take my blue again with just some white, but this is still pretty dark blue. We're not doing the light snow yet. And build up the tree like we do. We don't take out the deep shadows because that's what makes our tree feel like our tree.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't forget to add center branches. You can totally do this. You've got this. Landscape painting is just a series of layers where we observe our world and record it in form, value, and color. That's all. You got it. You probably do 10 things in your regular week that are much more challenging than this. Even if it feels super challenging, I am sure there are so many things you do in your life I would be like blown away by. People are much stronger and more amazing than they think. There we go. So we sort of see his second friend, don't we?
Mm-hmm.
Second friend, second friend. Now I'm going to add quite a lot of white to my blue. This is much brighter. Still blue, but brighter. And let's also make sure it's flowing off the brush. My paint is skinning. Mm-hmm. And that's something to think about. You know, in your warm winter conditions, sometimes you will find that you have these moments, that your paint is, you know, drying out faster than you expect. Maybe maybe summer for you. When we were in Houston, it was the air conditioner. Mm-hmm. There are things that impact your painting conditions, whether it's outside or in your house. You know, the back branches, even if they have a highlight on them, still be darker, right? Mm-hmm. Than this tree. Still be darker than that tree. Oh, it's looking good. Fire goes in real fast.
Yeah, it looks really good.
Put out some more white. Make sure your red and yellow are in good shape. And we're going to fire.
Fire.
Fire. Fire's so fun. Fire, fire, fire. Fire, fire, fire. All right, fire go here. I mean, that's still pretty close, but it's an improvement over where we initially went. I am going to darken some of my red initially with a little bit of black. Little S-curve strokes. I love doing fires. maybe less raging this time. Oh, a little less raging. I'm going to get a little into my black and kind of come under my fire here and add those black bits. That often represents the kindling in those things that are in the fire. And I think it's really important to making the fire look super realistic. Now I'm going to come in here and add a little red and yellow, trying to create those little brighter oranges that build that fire out. More yellow as I go. So I've got a little yellow and a little there. I'm going to come back with a bit of red. Need to let that rest for 2 seconds. And while it is, I can do a bunch of interesting things. I can take a little of my yellow and orange and hit my white and come here and say, you know, all around this is a bit of a glow. Because it would, wouldn't it? A little of our tree would have a bit of that on it, wouldn't it? A little bit of that yellow glow.
Mm-hmm.
Not yellow snow, but yellow glow. Diminishes as it goes up the tree a bit.
Mm-hmm.
You know, step back. You can always paint out anything you feel isn't authentic or real to it. I'm going to take a bunch of my white in here.
Yeah.
I'm in the center. Fires have a lot of white in the center.
Just a little bit of highlight there.
Well, and the little embers coming up and blowing off. Because they happen. Don't they?
Yes.
You can add a little... Anywhere you're like, oh, that might have... You can't play with it enough. All the play is helpful.
All the little touch-up bits.
They're all wonderful. And, you know, it's a good time if you're, like, letting stuff go. You can kind of come in, and sometimes I like to take a minute and improve inside the areas that are lit on here.
It does look very real.
It's just fun. I love it. Bits of wonder.
Wow, that's really, really looking cool.
Come in and say, hey, you know what I'd like? Maybe another little window up here.
Little, they call those hayloft.
I don't. Well, it's a
Well, I guess it's a
cabin, so
cabin,
I don't
so it
know.
may not
So,
be
like,
a-
maybe this is where the bunk is.
Oh no, could be.
Bunk bed, or hard to say.
That turned out lovely.
So I believe
That's pretty
I've got
great.
to paint in some stones,
Some stones.
I think.
Is that our next step?
I don't know. I don't know if I have all the photographs downloaded. But, let's put in the light reflections and then put in our stones.
Okay.
Let's do that. So let's make the
can do
next
that.
step light reflections in the water. I think they're reflections.
So it looks like, oh man, there it would go. So there it goes. Let's see. It was, you did, it looks like you reflected, then you rocked.
I think I reflected, then I rocked.
Yes, you reflected.
Then I rocked.
I think.
So let's put in reflections and then rock. Clean water.
Clean water.
Clean water, my friends.
You want your step?
Oh, I'm gonna just use my reference up here. But put a step thing up.
Step up. Step
Put a step up. Step up, step up. Step up.
So in this step,
I'm
we're
gonna
going to add some
find where I think I have that.
reflections.
Nope. I have it somewhere. I feel like I have. There it is. All right, so I'm gonna go there. Also lets me know I do my last fan. I might hit all my water. Well, that's hard to say. But let's start to put in some of these little reflections. So what do we know about? I'm gonna take my number 4 here,
Yeah.
little brush, and I've loaded it with a little bit of my CAD and stuff. And let's come down a bit. There we go. With some thoughtfulness.
Mm-hmm.
Now this would reflect down, wouldn't it? There we go. Very brave. Tipple, stipple, stipple, stipple. Stipple, 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 stipple. A little more yellow. Stipple, stipple. Mm-mm-mm.
So they got a big bonfire going out there.
They do.
And we talked about that before the show. See,
It's going to be a thing. It's a big bonfire. It's like the size of the house.
well, so what happened was one of the big trees fell down, and it was a pine tree. So they
Hey,
had to
I
cut
made
it
it
up.
smaller than it originally was. I diminished my fire from its original concept.
And we can't burn the pine wood inside the fireplace because it's got too much creosote in it. So
Yeah.
they had to burn it outside in a big bonfire.
Big
And that's how it is.
bonfire.
That's right.
Big bonfire. A little yellow. Fun stuff. Now I can always come in and get my red and a little of my black. Now, these trees have to reflect as well.
Mm-hmm.
Turning this to the side. I'll go ahead and get a little of my turquoise and some of my white that I have here. Maybe a little more white than what I had. little more yellow than I meant. And that's okay. Sometimes that'll happen. You'll be going, you're like, it's a little bit, but it doesn't really hurt you. So you just come back and be like, no, I meant the light kind of tree variant of this. A little bit of the turquoise working through here, creating kind of like maybe a bit of a snow highlight. I ended up seeing this at the end, but I think we'll be better off putting it in now.
Mm-hmm.
And that's okay. Maybe a little bit of the roof makes it down here and kind of implied in there. The snow or the roof. I need more water. I get it. And I may need to go this way so I have a better vantage there. What we have going on here is that this is going to reflect down, right?
Mm-hmm.
And those two little trees would reflect down. I don't know why holding the back of my head made me think that would help. I'm like back here, standing back, holding the back of my head. Weird positions I get in when thinking hard. And I think sometimes a little of this is good. I'm going to come under the house here, and I know I've got boulders and stuff coming up, but I just want to think about that now. Adding that little purple back in. Knowing that I'm going to be working some rocks.
Mm-hmm.
You can always get a little white into this. Kind of add it. A few places can be nice. Creates an interesting drama. And once we put the stones in, we may move some reflections. We may rethink some reflections. I do think we want to get into some white. Maybe a smidge of yellow, but mostly white. I'm just sort of tapping up and down in my yellow and my white. Let's come here and make sure that these have a bit of heat to them, which is that white part of that reflection. See how that looks. Ah, lovely.
Mm-hmm.
Lovely, lovely. Add some of this here. A little more yellow. And I think this back here needs to be a little more into the red. So I'm going to go back into my red. Make sure that that's there. Okay, I feel like we're kind of at that place where we're ready to add the stones and wood and things. So that's whatever that next step is. 9? 10?
Well,
I don't know.
So. See, I think our next step is 9.
9. Step 9, it'll be fine, it'll be fun, it'll be free, you'll love it. But definitely dry everything so it doesn't make your stones gray.
All right. We'll put up our step here so that as we go on to our next step, whatever step that is, in the meta step of lost steps and steps that are misstepped and stepped on, in the stepping of YouTube. But we're at a step, right? We made it to a step.
Yep. And remember, these are designed not just to look good on my camera or my thumbnail, but on your wall. We're like, these are up close pretty, far back pretty. But it's still always best to stand back from your artwork a little bit to take it in. Artwork, especially painterly stuff, is supposed to be seen in that holistic sort of from a distance, take it all in kind of way.
All right.
My last semi-warm step. I'm going to put out a little of my black paint. This stuff is pretty great because it's a little bit softer, more leveling, and also it's matte. So it's all one finish. You don't ever have to worry about, that kind of set of problems. Let's add some rocks. I'm going to load up my number 4 round. And I'm going to come here and say, I feel like there should be a kind of rock here.
Oh, no.
What?
I think I may be not doing my steps right.
Next week will be good, I promise.
I promise. We'll get it back together. We may have double stepped a couple times.
Really?
Yeah, well.
I don't know what to do.
But we have
about that.
timestamps. So what I would say is that the steps
Trust the timestamps that I do when I'm done.
The timestamps are correct. But
the steps may not be correct.
The steps may not be as accurate as we would like them to be.
Oh my God.
But they are in the timestamps.
I am painting in the top of kind of there's like a little rock offshoot right here.
But you know what we teach here? Painting and not counting.
Clearly. Clearly counting is not the priority. Bring this here and I'll let these kind of come across from each other here and come back. And then I may pull in a bigger one to sort of paint these in. And bring that one up. So these are just these little random black shapes in the water. They won't be anything until we add snow and put little underwater reflections to them and all of that.
They like our stepping.
Our stepping is okay?
It's the Sherpa 2-step.
Trust the step-by-step when I release it. It'll be correct.
The step-by-step is always good.
Yeah. Now, if I need to, I may get a bigger brush involved, right? So I can paint in these stones easily. I guess I'll make that a number 8 cat's tongue, but that's not about this. It needs to be this brush. It is literally entirely about, I just don't want to take a long time painting in black shapes. And at this stage, they are just pure black dark forms. Implying that something happened
Something happened.
here. You guys get the basic gist of it. You get
Oh, yeah.
it.
The
They get it.
rocks.
They know what's up.
Yeah, they do. They totally.
Hi, Mom. No, not thank you.
If it's not one thing, it's your mother.
It's not one thing. Definitely is my mother. That was my mom calling me on Skype. Probably to tell me that my steps were wrong.
So I was watching you on YouTube, and I noticed that your steps were wrong. You mean the one that I'm in live right now, Mom? Yeah, that one.
She does this too, so that's really funny. She's like, did you shout me out? I'm like, yeah, totally shouted you out. I'm like, did you call me live during my show? So I've got a nice little kind of arrangement of lake rocks that we could have there. I'm also going to take this moment, kind of come in here and kind of create a nice little shadow.
Mm.
Along this little lake edge. Give yourself a little contrast, like you do. There you go. Let's call that a step.
Let's call that a step.
Why not? Let's call it a step. Why not?
So I
Call
guess
it a step. Need
this
fresh
is-
water. No, I don't. I'm okay.
this is the not step 10,
Not step 10.
but we're going to put up step 10 anyway, so we don't lose our track of steps.
Haven't we already done step 10 like 3 times?
I think we did 9 twice and 8 twice.
Did you check with the moderators before you just executively tried to do a step, since we've determined you have no idea where the steps are and they know?
Well,
Are
they
you
know,
looking
they
in
know that
Skype chat?
we've
To you
double
guys
stepped.
in mod chat who constantly send John questions and like let him know, and you're like, what? I'm sending him there right now to go to mod chat to find your notes, because I know you told us. I know you did. You guys show up at every live, and I appreciate it so much. Which one are we on? Is it 11? The mods didn't tell you?
There's a 30-second delay between when you talk and when they hear.
Oh, I figured it was just a field of John. I'm gonna just dry this.
So, thank you guys for coming and hanging out. We are tolerant with our stepness. We'll work out our stepness. But the reason why it's so important is Cinnamon works really, really hard on the step-by-steps that go with this, the PDFs. And so we really want those to match. And that's why you see us putting so much attention to that. And we do appreciate, really, really do appreciate you guys bearing with us while we figure this out. But we will. We'll get it. We'll get it worked out so our steps are matchy-matchy.
Did we get notes yet?
Let's see here.
Are there any notes? Do they know? I don't know. Do they know?
All right.
Was it 10?
No, but I don't know what it was. It was a step.
It was a step,
It was a step.
but no one gave you any notes on what step it is.
Well, we're working on it out there. What we do know is that we're
In a
definitely
minute, your mom's
on
going
a
to come
step.
down and yell at us about what step
I think,
it is.
well, we're thinking it may be 11, but we're not sure. So
Usually this works beautifully, guys.
we've been talking about this while you were hair drying. That you work really hard to make these PDFs match up steppy. So we'll be able to get the timestamps, but maybe not the display on the screen. But
Yeah.
we think it's 11.
I teach art.
You do?
I'm going to add some snow. to the top of these little rocks here. I've taken a little bit of ultramarine blue and white, and I have here a number 4 Cambridge. It's just a hog brush, and it's because, can you see, it gives me this sort of rough aspect. So I want kind of a rough. That way it can look a little like, oh, wow, there's like snow on top of these. There's totally snow. So this one, I'm going to actually draw this one so that the one behind it, I need more blue. That's not the blue. This is ultramarine blue and titanium white. And then come here. And I need it this dark because this is the snow that is in shadow. Everything you have here is where snow has landed on a hard rock surface. These are rough lines. Very scratchy, very dry brush.
Very dry brush.
At this stage. And what you'll have, if you catch your highlights, you'll start to see it. Like we run up the top of that. It helps us like really see the shape. Where there's a darker value, the rock will be deeper. And where there's a lighter value, the rock is higher.
So the consensus is that we don't know what step we're on. But nobody really cares because as long as they have step markers, they don't just need to know where
I will timestamp it correctly, guys, and then count it out, and then it will just be. I think the next emoji we get for Emoji Club, if enough people join Emoji Club, I get another emoji. I think it's going to be something like, I don't know, like question mark with the word step.
It should be the number pi because we're on
the number pi because we don't know what step we're on.
We're on one of those. We're going to round to the nearest 3.1475.
Here we can't count, and yet we're making math jokes like we're Big Bang Theory up in here.
There's no jokes. There's just pi.
If Chuck Lorre is with us right now painting, he's just groaning.
Oh, yeah. Well.
Thank you, Chuck Lorre. I love you.
You know what would fix DC?
Chuck Lorre.
Yeah.
Oh, Chuck Lorre and Josh Whedon and a super cabal of brilliant writers that actually use words. Wow.
But they would. But see, in order to make
what
it really,
would happen
if
you put Chuck Lorre, Quentin Tarantino, and Josh Whedon in them? What would they make, or would they murder each other? I don't know.
Chuck would be the last man standing.
Oh, and they have to use Ryan Reynolds as their star.
That's right.
No choice with Hugh Jackman. So it's Ryan Reynolds, Hugh Jackman. They have to be in it, no matter what.
Uma Thurman.
And then Quentin Tarantino and Josh Whedon and Chuck Lorre.
And Uma Thurman.
Oh yeah, you gotta have Uma Thurman.
It's okay.
Gotta have Uma Thurman.
I don't know what they're going to be doing. You know what they're going to do? They're going to do the real life story of Cinnamon Cooney and the Art Sherpa.
Nobody needs to see that.
And Uma Thurman can be the Sherpa.
Oh wait, well actually, if Uma Thurman was the Sherpa, I suppose somebody could see that because she would probably make that interesting. And we have a friend, and he did kind of a famous thing. And so a movie was made about some of what happened around what he did. And he went through this very incredible, like, who would play him? And he would be like, and you have to understand, he's a lovely person, but kind of a goof. And he'd be like, I think Zach Galifianakis has the gravitas to play me. And I'm like, I love that you think gravitas is required to play you. And then they got the kid from that 70s show, Toby. And I was like, yep, I remember you at that age. It's very accurate. So funny. But every day, he actually got blocked by like the movie people because he had so many notes on who should play him.
I'm sure they were like, stop calling. We know how to.
No, they did. They were like, no more.
I remember.
We make movies. It's okay. We got this. So we're just continuing with the ultramarine blue and the white over the top of these. Mm-hmm. Now, right now, you'll notice, and this is important to notice, these are floating in the ice. They're like disembodied poop stones that are floating through.
Okay.
So things need to happen to help these stones feel like they go here.
So they're not going to be floaters?
So they're not. I'm going to get some pure. Actually, probably.
What are you doing over
Let's
there?
put out some phthalo. No, I don't want any ultramarine. I want phthalo blue. Ultramarine tends to run a little red, and I want phthalo blue because it will create a better glaze, and I can mix it in with the purple pretty easily. And we're going to start to create the shadows and values. A little purple. Come under your stones with a little glaze of.
Oh, yeah, that anchors them.
Don't it? Let's keep pulling this darker value in this water here. Little stones in the stream, that is what we are. Nothing in between, 'cause we forgot to value them. But once we add a shadow, it will work real well. I hadn't thought this song out before I started it. Sometimes sound effects do help. I won't lie. So sometimes you create a little shadow where you think there might be a little shadow.
Yeah, this is a really nice little lakey scene.
It's getting to be. We're nearly done. We're like wrapping it up now.
How would we know?
I don't know how we would know because we
don't know what
lost
step on
count.
we're in. We're on a step, but we don't know which one.
I'm going to add a little black to this mix of my phthalo and white. So a little white, little black, little phthalo blue. And we're going to come here also and kind of create some little interest, right?
Mm-hmm.
Little reflection interest. Now, by now you've gotten really good at your horizontal and vertical reflections, and you can see that just a little bit of that thoughtfulness really brings it all together.
That anchored them into the water. They're no longer free-floating rocks.
Little tiny amount of phthalo. It's a little snow-cappedness reflects there.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you want to pull it in a little closer to their shadow, but not too much. Get a little bit of that phthalo blue and black, but a lighter value. Pretty thick on the brush here. Pretty thick on the brush. Snow in the rocks, my friends. You need snow on the rocks.
Mm. So
Neil
I
Diamond
think
in my head just when I said that to Snow on the Rocks. I heard Neil Diamond in my head.
that's okay. Because I'm pretty sure I have the last step correct.
Do you? Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure I
Don't
got that.
tease me. Oh my gosh, I have so earned a steak sandwich. I'll tell you what. I've earned it. I have, though. I feel like I have. Now over here to the sides, I
Mhm.
do want to make sure that my snow stays fairly kind of dark. And the reason is that I want to create a corridor of light or reflection.
Mm.
So even though I'm lightening it, I'll definitely work some blue into it so that it.
That's pretty amazing.
Put some little reflections down. There's so much that you can do to make it work. So,
Mhm.
through this end, you want to really just sort of like evaluate what do I need to add? What do I need to fix? What can I put in? And then also in art, sometimes it's like, what can I take away? There's always these things that we're playing through.
Mhm.
Come over here in the deep dark back and just make sure that it's a bit of a. Little bit of purple.
All right.
Sometimes purple can let it play. I'm not done.
I know.
Okay.
I'm watching you.
We said right, like, okay, well,
All
we're
right.
good. We've been at this for a while now. It's
No, no,
time
that's
to go
it.
eat
That's
some food.
time to go.
You said sandwich, so.
Well, I wasn't quite there yet, but yes, we could.
Now, last touch.
Last touch. Do you need your last step?
Hmm?
Do you need your last step marker?
Yeah, okay. Why not? It'll be like a 2-second step. Last step. We think. So at this point, you want to go through your painting and evaluate, is there anything I can do to add? Do I need to increase value or add some shadows? Is there something that I missed in the process? It's like I might come through with like my number 4 round and highlight maybe some of the smoke that came out the chimney a little bit to accentuate that. Not do that.
Mhm.
That's it. That would be the snow blowing off the roof, and I don't want that look on this painting.
That's
Oh,
windy.
racy.
That's very windy.
Would be too windy.
Very. See that you added that extra texture to the roof there.
Mm-hmm.
What do you call it when you add texture?
Impasto.
Impasto. That's the word. So you stack up all the paint.
Impasto.
Impasto. That's very, very thick. Is that gonna be? Is not gonna be a problem on there?
No,
Oh.
there's no problem. You just go through and you're like, what does the piece need? Does it, does the fire need a little love? Fire might need a little love. I don't know. We gotta check the fire.
Mm. Hmm.
And take my number 4 round and my yellow paint and just kind of light the top of my rocks.
Mm-hmm.
cad yellow and my titanium white and try to capture some of that little corridor of light, whether you're painting your flowers in a field or really charming cabin. You want to make sure that you are those last little touches make a big difference. They do.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
You look for them. You go, where can I improve you? What can I do, my friend? Aquila, my friend. Don't you go on easy.
All right. This is like, you actually look like this could be the last step.
This is the last step. Like, because you put up the word last step, so.
Well, you know what that doesn't, we could still do another step.
We could, because, you know.
Counting. But this turned out really nice. I like the, wow.
Just evaluate. Just go, is there color I could add? Improve it.
Yeah, this looks like a nice little place to live.
Well, that's what I like to paint. A nice little place to live. Not dissimilar from where I'm living right now.
Mm-hmm. Only this has less snow.
All right. I feel like, let me take that in. You guys take yours in.
Take it in.
Take it in. This is that stage. This is where in the painting you go, do I need something? Do I need to add something? Is anything missing? Am I happy? Does it feel resolved to me?
So, it's looking pretty good.
I think it's okay.
But if
I'm going to sign it.
Are you sure?
I feel
just in
like
case. Just in case. Look, we got.
You just love you so much. I do love you.
We can do this all day.
I know we can. That's a very scary true thing.
They gave us this thing on YouTube where we could just turn it on and go live. And there's no one telling us that's a bad idea. Don't do that.
Well, if people don't show up or like the video, there is someone telling us there's a bad idea, but we haven't listened to them in the past. So I think we started with 2 dislikes. So, and we still went live. Like, I wonder how pleased somebody would be like if they disliked a video and then the creator was like, I'm not going to go live now. Like, I wonder if they'd be like at home going, I'm so powerful. But yet, no. Sorry, we don't listen. We just do our thing, teach painting. Two people.
Do the things. Teach
painting. Now, the next time we see you guys.
The next time.
Yeah. I think the next class is the Tuesday after Christmas. Christmas Eve, though, we have, I might be wrong. There might be a class before that. But I think it's the Tuesday after Christmas. Unless you're a patron, in which you have tons and tons of classes between now and the end of the year. Oh my gosh. I know there's just, we're catching up on things that we did and finishing up things for this month. So if you're a patron, yeah, you're live like all the way through the end of the year. But if you are watching the channel, the next one is, I think, Tuesday, and it is Aslan. It's a beautiful white lion. But before that, we have a special video. We're going to react, John and I, on screen, both of us, to our wedding video.
React!
Yeah. Well, we did some fundraising for St. Jude a while back, and one of our, they say you've got to come up with rewards for thresholds, and so we just came up with, like, I don't know, crazy things that we thought up on the fly, and one of them was that we would show you guys our wedding video, And you guys were so generous and did so much to help St. Jude in its mission to cure childhood cancer that now we got to show you our wedding video.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to watch our, aren't you so excited?
I'm
That's going to be
excited.
Christmas Eve. But if you are home alone and if you are stuck and if COVID has trapped you and you're feeling like you need to connect and talk to others, we're going to be here. We're going to be on in the evening, which we know is the hard, at least for us it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's, I think, the harder time. So come by. Don't feel isolated. Don't feel alone. Come by, laugh at our wedding video, cheer with us, see your friends, and know that this is not forever. It's going to be better really soon. Be good to yourselves. Do the subscribe thing again.
Okay.
And the end song. Be good to yourselves. Be good to each other. And listen to Ryan O'Neal sing us out. I want to see you on an easel really soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.